chapter. Our test is next Tuesday, so a week from today. Okay, so a line of best fit is a straight line on a scatter plot that goes through the middle of the data points. To summarize the trend. So kind of a long definition there. So take your second to write that down. We don't have a lot of writing after this. Okay, a straight line on a scatter plot that goes to the middle of the data points to summarize the trend, to summarize what is happening. All right, you're going to get a glue in. This should fit on the left or the right side. You might need to just trim a little bit off the bottom so that it fits. And then as you get your glue out, you're going to want to grab 2-3 colored pencils. And if you can find those rulers. The rulers are going to help today for drawing nice straight lines. You might need to trim the bottom just a little bit. Whoa. Alright, you might need to trim just a little bit of the bottom, and then you can glue it in on the left or the right side. And then I would find a ruler, and then 2 or 3 colored pencils. I'm going to use 3, personally. I'm going to pass them. Thanks. Kind of sticking together today. Alright, I needed to trim mine a little bit so it fits, so I just cut a tiny bit off the bottom, not a whole lot. And then go ahead and glue that in on the left or the right side, whatever side you prefer. If this will not fit on your paper for whatever reason, you can always cut off that bottom piano practice and the XY and put that on the different next page. So if you're really running out of space, just cut off those bottom 2, put that on the next page. All right. Hi. How'd it go?
Good. It's easy.
Tiring? Here you go. Good. I'm so glad. Alright, so this first one, we're going to start by figuring out what this graph is about, reading through it. Alright, it says studying and test scores. And we are missing a couple of things here. Oh, cool. Okay. And we are missing our titles for this. So, this data, actually, if you flip back to yesterday, is the same data. Hopefully you're kind of seeing that this is that. It's the same thing. So what did we measure in our x-axis? How did we measure our test scores in our studying? This was our practice. And how did we measure our practice? Minutes. And then on the Y was our grade, and our grade was in points or percent? Percent. Okay, so a couple of things just as we go through it that we need to add. All right, this is where I'm going to use 1 colored pencil to start off with. This one you're going to just want a sharp colored pencil, so I'm going to use green because I have a sharp green one. So just pick one that's a sharpened one. All right, and we're going to draw that line of best fit. So you're going to grab, I like to use a ruler for this one. Why do I have such weird rulers? I don't know what is happening. I have a Barbie, a Hello Kitty, and a piano. Okay, here's a nice normal-ish one. All right, so as I move this ruler through, I'm going to be drawing a line that goes through the middle of the points. I wanted to show the trend. So remember, we said that the more you practice, what should happen to your grade? Your grade should go up. So there should be a line going up. I don't want it to go through the middle like this way, count how many are on the left and how many are on the right. I want to be going through kind of the middle and going through to see how it is. So I want about the same points above and below. So I'm going to use, it's nice if it goes through some points. I'm going to draw one really lightly first before I darken it to see if that's what I want. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 below, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 above, so I might need to make it a little steeper. So sometimes drawing that line of best fit, you're doing the best that you can. Okay, so go ahead and try. So this is going to be my line of best fit. So go ahead and try and get your line of best fit. It's okay if it doesn't look exactly like mine. We're just eyeing it up today. There is a way to use your calculator to find the line of best fit, so it's exact. But today we're going to just practice doing it by hand. Okay, so this is the line of best fit. All right, and we're going to do 2 questions with this one. So we are going to write some questions off to the side here, and then we're just going to practice drawing that line of best fit for the other ones. So in this one, we're going to say using the line of fit. That's also another way to say line of best fit, using the line of fit. If I study for 30 minutes, what will my test score be? Sorry, I kind of wrote that off to the side weird. Using the line of fit, if I study for 30 minutes, what will my test score be? Okay, so this is where I'm going to use a couple other colors. So I'm going to look for that 30 minutes. Is the 30 minutes going to be on my x-axis or on my y-axis? Where did we put the minutes? Yep, on the x-axis. So I'm going to find 30 on my x for 30 minutes. Okay, here's my 30. I'm going to follow that 30 up to the line of best fit. And that's my green line. So I'm not going to a point, I'm just going to that green line to see where that green line, where does it end? And if I follow that over, about what percent that would be. Now, depending on your line, you might get a different number than I did because each of us drew our own line of best fit. Mine is about 60, it's a little bit above 60, so maybe 61 or 62. So take a look at yours, see what yours is, because if yours is not 62, don't write 62, that's going to be confusing. So take a look at your line, find the 30, go up to that 30 where it hits that line, follow that over, and predict about what percent that would be. You should be kind of in the 60 range. If you're in the 80s, your line is way too steep. If you're in the 50s or the 40s, you might have too low of a line. So most of us should be kind of in that 60 range. I'm going to say about 62. I'm going to use that word about, not just 62. Okay, so whatever yours is, if yours is different, write down what your percent is. My line of best fit that I drew, to the best of my ability, says about 62%. Okay, and then we have one more question here. If I want 85%, how long should I study? Okay, so now this time I'm looking for 85%. I'm going to switch colors here. Is 85% going to be on my X or on my Y? Good, on my Y. So I find 85% is going to be in between 80 to 90. If you need to write 85 next to that so you can see. That's our goal, is to find 85%. And then we're going to do our best to look over to that line. This is just our ice line. We're not actually going to be drawing this every time. And we're finding where we hit that line at that 85 and then following that down to our practice minutes. And again, because we all drew our own line individually, it'll be all a little bit different. Mine is almost exactly, I feel like it's halfway between 90 and 100. So I'm going to say mine is about 95 minutes. But again, yours might be a little bit different. Yours might be a little bit over 100. Yours should be somewhere between maybe like 87 and 103. If yours is further out than 87 or 103, then your line of best fit was really not great. And we should talk about that. Okay, so next up we have, I'm going to draw this line going across. All right, and these other ones we're just going to practice drawing our line. This first one, we're missing something part of our graph though. What are we missing in this graph here, this next one? Oh, yeah, the title. So we see as the temperature is increasing, what's happening as our temperature increases? Our sales are also increasing. So we need to think of something, what's something out in the world that as it gets warmer outside, we sell more of? So what's something that we're going to sell more of now that summer's coming around? There's nothing in the summer that we buy that we don't buy in the winter? Ice cream, sure. Okay, ice cream sales. My last year's class said watermelon. Ice cream works too, though. I agree with that. Okay, and now you're going to take that ruler and you are going to do your best for that line of best fit, where you think that would go. So draw yours lightly, and then I'll draw mine and we can kind of compare. So when you go, you can kind of use the idea of how many are above and how many are below. To help you figure that out. I don't understand what's happening. Okay, so as we take a look at this, I was going to try and get a line of best fit on the screen for us to look at it. So as we take a look, we want it to be going in a positive slope because it's a positive direction. And we want it to be not below and not above. We want it to go through the middle as best as possible. So I like to draw it lightly first. Okay, one way to double check is by counting how many are below and how many are above, if they're close or if they're far away. Yeah, I don't mind that one. It could be a little bit steeper maybe. Okay, and then you want to think if we were going to plot more points, the points should be somewhere around that line. So if I was going to plot more points in the future, it would follow that line, or if I plot more points in the past, it should follow that line. All the points, if I put more points on the graph, it should be around that line. How'd I do? Similar to yours? Close-ish? Good. All right, last one. We have two more here. Okay, this one, it says piano practice. Is this a positive or a negative correlation? Negative. So which direction should our slope be? Down. Does it make sense that as we spend more time practicing, the number of incorrect notes goes down? Yeah, that's our mistakes. Our number of mistakes should go down the longer we practice. Okay, so something about this one, it kind of looks like it's on a curve. When we're doing a line of best fit, we need to use a straight line. That's going to be a key here. Yeah, it's something I see a lot of people get mistaked here is that they want to do this curve. We're just doing a line of best fit today, so we're just doing a line. We could have done like an exponential. This one's going to be a little bit more challenging to do as a line. But we want to do it with the majority, through the majority of the points. So it's not going to be perfect. But overall, we want it to follow those points down. All right, and then in this last one, we don't have any labels or anything. Whoops, forgot to do that, my bad. But what kind of correlation does this one have? Positive, negative, or none? None. There's no correlation. Our points are everywhere. If I was going to draw a line, that line wouldn't tell me where the next point is going because the next points are just random. They're everywhere. So if there's no correlation, that means that there's going to be no line of best fit. So on this one, we can't draw a line of best fit because there is no trend. It's all over the place. Cool beans. Okay, I'm going to try and figure this out to figure out how to get this projected with the line of best fit for the first one. And then we can compare kind of what we did. But in the meantime, while I figure that out,